Welcome to Creating Learning Environments, Chapter 12 of Educational Psychology. How then do we determine what the best environments for learning are? Throughout this presentation, we will look at creating a positive learning environment, maintaining a good environment for learning, dealing with discipline problems, the need for communication, and diversity and convergences within learning environments.
Creating a positive learning environment. There are two elements that make up creating positive learning environments: establishing rules and routines, and planning the space where learning is going to take place. The routine that you establish is crucial to the smooth operation of your class. Taking the time to establish a solid routine will help students to learn more effectively and will help the teacher to be able to deliver lessons. Remember to stick to your routine. Consistency matters when it comes to establishing a routine. When creating rules, it is best if they are agreed upon by the students and teacher. When students take ownership with the rules, they are more likely to follow them. The rules should be posted in the classroom and should be both positive and enforceable. When planning the personal territory of your classroom, keep in mind the type of learning that you want your students to be engaged in. Do you want tables for small groups, a circle, or desks in rows? How you set up the physical space will greatly affect the learning that happens. Interest areas should be set up in the classroom depending on the grade level and subject. These could be literature centers, science areas, or a computer section. Place these areas in such a way that they will be useful for the students. Getting started. In the first weeks of class, it is very important to establish the rules and routines at the very beginning. Moving students through several tasks slowly early on in the course helps to establish a routine.
Maintaining a good environment for learning. Effective teachers maintain their management systems by preventing problems and keeping students motivated and engaged in productive learning activities. Teachers encourage student engagement when they 1. Spend more time supervising their students. 2. Give cues to the student about what to do next. 3. Involve students in activities that have connections to real life. 4. Have higher levels of challenge within activities. 5. Incorporate student interests into the tasks. 6. Plan systems that encourage students to manage their own work. Effective teachers manage classes by using the following strategies. Withedness, awareness of everything happening in the classroom. Overlapping, supervising several activities at once. Group focus, the ability to keep as many students as possible involved in activities. Movement management, keeping lessons and students moving at an appropriate and flexible pace with smooth transitions and variety. Development of social skills, teaching students to use emotional regulation and cooperation.
Dealing effectively with discipline problems. The key here is awareness and making a choice of what is important to address and being clear with your students. Take a quick look at the mini case before you. The first strategy here is to maintain eye contact with the student and move closer to them, using nonverbal cues to show the student that their behavior was inappropriate. You may also drop some verbal hints. The next few strategies should be done talking one-on-one with the student in the hallway. Once in the hall, ask if they are aware of the blatant disrespect they showed and how it might affect the class. Remind them of the class rules in regards to respect and ask them how they could have approached the teacher differently, and in a clear, assertive, and unhostile way, ask them to stop their misbehavior. Offer a choice. Either you stop being disrespectful in class, or... Before introducing penalties, give the student the chance to take ownership for their actions. If you are to use penalties for misbehavior, never use lower achievement status as a punishment. This strategy only serves to alienate the student, giving them more cause to misbehave and resent you. When it comes to bullying, develop a strong sense of community in the classroom, empathy for the victims of bullying, and conflict management. In regards to cyberbullying, develop a policy for acceptable in-school use of the internet, and do not let cyberbullying go unnoticed and get the parents involved. Work completion is a subject that should be addressed at the beginning of the year. Establish clear guidelines and consequences for incomplete work while taking into account the students' lives outside of the classroom. For consistent rule breaking, include the development of a seating plan and catch them before they break the rules, and be consistent when applying the established consequences. Most important, build good rapport with your students. When working with a hostile student, give them a chance to cooperate by allowing them to leave and cool down. If the student remains hostile, it is time to get the administration involved. Remember, in the case of a hostile student, always keep records of the incidents. These records help identify patterns of behavior and become your ally in meetings with parents and administrators.
Effective communication skills are important when striving to create positive learning environments. In all interactions, a message is sent and a message is received. Actions, movements, voice tone, facial expressions, body positions, gestures, choice of words, and eye contact all send messages to our students. The first principle of communication is that people respond to what they think was said or meant, not necessarily to the speaker's intended message or actual words. A basic solution may be to implement the paraphrase rule, whereby listeners must accurately summarize what a speaker has said before being allowed to respond. The key to good teacher-student relationships is determining why you are troubled by a particular behavior and whose problem it is. If it's the student's problem, the teacher becomes a counselor and supporter, helping the student to find their own solution. However, if you cannot accept a student's behavior because it has a serious effect on you as a teacher, or if you are blocked from reaching your goals by the student's actions, it is your problem, and therefore your responsibility to find a solution through problem solving with the student. There are four main components of active listening. First, blocking out external stimuli, attending carefully to both the verbal and nonverbal messages, differentiating between the intellectual and the emotional content of the message, and making inferences regarding the speaker's feelings. Assuming that a student is doing something that interferes with teaching, it is then the teacher's problem. iMessages reveal how the behavior affects you as a teacher and how you feel about it. Assertive discipline essentially communicates that you care too much about the student and the process of learning to let the behavior persist. Clearly state what you expect, use appropriate nonverbal gestures, be calm, firm, and confident, and expect changes, not promises or apologies.
In order to create a positive learning environment, the diversity of students and perspectives in the classroom must be taken into account. Every student is unique. It's important for educators to take their students' social identities and learning styles into account when preparing lessons. In teaching, one size does not fit all. If problems arise, it is because an educator has not met students' needs. Students will differ in how they dress, speak, and behave. They will also have different life experiences and therefore will understand the world differently. Culturally responsive classroom management means taking cultural meanings and styles into account when creating lessons. So what role do teachers play? Well, they must understand their own biases about race, class, sex, gender, ability, and other aspects of social identity, and then use that knowledge to understand what their students are saying and how they're behaving in the classroom. Converging management approaches. Desirable behavior can be rewarded in many ways. The best way to address undesirable behavior is through communication and collaboration with students. Class meetings and student discussion, debates, performances, student seminars allow each student to be heard and validated, thereby acting as a great management tool. Parents have a higher stake in their child's education than anyone else. Therefore, teachers should see them as an invaluable resource in understanding students. Building parental connections is crucial to good classroom management. Attentive listening is key to conflict prevention and resolution. It is best to see student behavior for what it is before imposing a judgment on it and calling it disruptive. For example, perhaps a student is having a rough time at home or work and just needs someone to listen. A teacher can validate that student's feelings and avoid all kinds of conflict. By meticulously applying these classroom management techniques, you will ensure that your classroom is a safe, effective, and fun place for all students.